This will be a relatively quick, straightforward video of making an icicle. And one of the things about making an icicle is there's actually lots of different ways to accomplish that. In fact, when I was talking with a colleague about one of the icicles I made, I realized that the way I was explaining how I made it was wrong, because I had made it so long ago that I forgot what I had done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this this base rod, which is about 9-10 millimeters in diameter, and I'm going to streak colorless glass onto it. So I'm warming up the base rod so the glass will stick, and now I'm warming up some colorless rod that I'm going to take and streak that across. And I'm going to make this a relatively short icicle, so I don't have to spend too much time on it. So I streaked about an inch of hot glass on there. Now I'm going to switch hands, and this is purely to make it hopefully a little easier for the camera to for you to see what I'm doing in the perspective of me switching hands. So now, again, take that and just streak it on down like that. It's important, again, to make sure that the rod that you're streaking with, that the glass is molten, and you can help yourself by wiggling it back and forth while you're in the flame. Because of the amount of glass that I've just placed onto the rod and the thickness of the rod, it's very easy to build up a lot of stress at this point and cause it to break. So that's why I'm taking this extra precaution of going back and forth and warming up the glass, heating it up quite a bit to make sure that it's fully fused, and that will help remove the stress, especially at these points, these kind of termination points, which I'm going to take now and press them in, making this a little bit more uniform, and then reheat. And that should eliminate the formation of any cracks as we're going forward. But again, it's a demo, it's an icicle, it's not that big of a deal. Now I'm going to take some colors, in this case white and blue, and I'm going to streak them on top of the colorless streaks that I just made. So I want to make sure I get a decent amount of this glass warmed up to the point where it's molten. There it goes. And I try and place it right on top, and then I streak down, and then I terminate. The white glass has actually gone a little further than the colorless glass for the streak, but that actually doesn't matter, because this is going to be the end of my icicle. So when I pull the glass and twist it, that section is going to get removed anyway. So it's not making a big deal if you put a little bit too much glass on there. All I do is give it a little twist. And notice I'm coming out of the flame to do the twisting. You don't have as much control of the glass while you're in the flame. So if you twist while you're in the flame, it can get a little out of control on you and start to do things that you really don't want it to do. So again, I'm twisting. If anything, I'm actually giving it a little bit of compression. I'm actually pushing it. Get that back into frame. Which might seem counterintuitive of why am I pushing the glass, and it's because I'd rather have it gathered up where it's a little bit thicker as it gets twisted, so that way when I go into the step where I am going to take this glass and stretch it out for the icicle, it's not going to be too thin at any point. Without a doubt, one of the easiest things to do is to pull the glass too thin, and when you do that, you put yourself in a very bad position where the glass can snap before you're ready to, again, terminate the icicle. So now I'm putting some heat back into the glass, and the colorless rod is going to be the bottom of the icicle, so I'm focusing the heat near the bottom. And so now I'm pulling and I'm twisting. I'm pulling and twisting, and just gently icicle. I can come in here, heat this, pull it down, or anywhere, but I'm going to keep this icicle relatively short but thick. So I'm going to heat the base up. I'm sorry, the base of the hook, I should say. And instead of pulling, I'm actually going to give it a gentle push once it gets up to temperature. Gentle push and twist, because I want that top part to be a little bit thicker. I want it to start at a thicker base where the hook is, and then taper down. You can even make a Maria in that area if you want to, or get all fancy with it. So now, again, I could make any adjustments as far as the body of the icicle, or the twisting, or any of that. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come back to that interface between the colorless glass and the blue glass, and I'm going to heat that up. And now I am going to effectively make a Maria. So I'm pushing because I want this area to be a little bit thicker, both aesthetically and for the hook. I think it does make it a little bit easier to fuse the hook on there once you've done that. Okay, so now that I've got what I think is a reasonable amount of glass in there, I'm going to heat up about an inch of glass, blue glass, and that's going to become my hook. Now once it starts getting floppy on you, once it starts to the point where it can move, notice I'm switching my hand position. I'm slowing down my rotation, and I'm kind of going back and forth, rather than trying to spin it around completely in a uniform 360. Just back and forth, you know. Now, and this is again the tricky, frustrating part. Come out of the flame, pull back, up, and boom, stick the landing. There we go. The position I did this in was completely ridiculous in the sense of where my body is, and I did that for the camera, so that way you would have hopefully a better angle. Now I've got to clean some stuff up, so I've got this long section that I don't like. I can gather that up. In this case, I'm going to give it a little pinch and then pull some of that glass off. This is by far not my worst shepherd's hook. Now the thing is, it's a little longer than I might want, a little thinner. So a trick you can do rather than panicking is just heat it up gently. So I'm working more in the outer part of the flame. Okay. And it will start to collapse on me. Make sure you've got some graphite. But that's actually a good thing, because what's happening is, as I'm heating it up, the glass is condensing. It's basically becoming thicker, so it's flowing together. So if your hook, if it feels like it's a little bit too fragile, it's a little bit too thin, gently heat it up and just let it condense back down. Okay, so that's a decent size. And so once you've got this, now you can take your graphite and go in and make some adjustments to the shape. I'm going to sharpen up the flame now, and I'm going to heat right at the tip of that shepherd's hook just to make sure it's fused in. When you do that, you lose that little dimple on the outside, which I don't care about, to be honest. But if you want to keep that, you don't want to do what I just did. So I came in here and I heated that area really strongly and fused that in, which gives me it ensures I've got a good connection. So now I'm gonna warm this whole thing up, look at it, make sure it's in a position I want. And I've been using the graphite to come in here and make some adjustments. As I've been doing this, this section has been cooling down, but because it's thinner, it has a taper that I'm not too worried about it cracking, because again, it's borosilicate. So now what I'm going to do is terminate. I'm going to basically cut it here. And what I was talking about of not worrying about if there's a mess down here, if it's very bad uniformity at the very end, when you remove it, you're going to cleave that section off, so nobody will ever see it, because it's literally not going to be part of the icicle. So I warm up my tweezers. And another thing, again, to be very, very careful about this, you want to make sure you've got a good grip on the icicle, and you position your hands in a way that when the icicle comes free, it's not going to slide into your hand. Because if you don't have a good grip on it and it starts to move, you can burn yourself. All right, so I'm just getting this hot. I'm not twisting, I'm not pulling. And so now, take this, give it a little twist, give it a little pull, give it a moment to set, and now, and this is the moment where, like I said, it'll pop loose on you if you're not careful. There we go. And so I heated it up at the bottom to gather it up a little bit, and there we go.